All right, let's talk about a battle every single one of us has faced at some point. You standing over your kitchen sink, watching that water just not go down. It's the worst, right? But don't worry. Today, we're going to arm you with a full-on DIY battle plan to conquer that clog and get your drain back in business. Let's jump in. You know how it starts. First, just a little water hangs around a bit too long. Then it gets slower and slower, and before you know it, you're looking at a full-on pond of murky dishwater. It's super frustrating, I get it. But before you call a plumber or grab those super harsh chemicals, you should know that most of these clogs, you can totally handle them yourself. Okay, so every good strategy starts with a little recon, right? You gotta know your enemy. Before we even think about attacking this problem, we need to understand what we're actually dealing with. So, what is the stuff that's actually causing that stubborn blockage? You might think it's one big thing that fell down there, but it's usually not. Most of the time, it's this gross, sticky team-up of everyday stuff. You've got grease and oil from cooking, those little bits of food that get past the strainer, and then soap scum that acts like a glue, binding it all together into one solid, stubborn mess. Knowing that this is what you're up against helps you pick the right tool for the job. All right, enemy identified. Now it's time to assemble our arsenal. Trust me, having the right gear ready to go before you start is going to make this whole thing way easier, a lot cleaner, and a whole lot faster. So let's take a look at what you need to grab. And here's the good news. There's nothing super crazy or expensive here. You want a cup-shaped plunger. That's key for getting a good seal. A bucket and a few old towels are, like, non-negotiable. Seriously, you'll thank me later. Gloves are always a smart move. And then the other stuff, the drain snake, baking soda, and vinegar, well, those are for when things get a little more serious. We're going to start this fight with the simplest, most direct methods first. Think of this as the first wave of attack. Honestly, a lot of the time, one of these two steps is all you're going to need to get that water flowing again. So your very first stop is right under the sink. See that U-shaped pipe? That's called the P-trap, and its whole job is to catch junk before it goes further down. Just stick your bucket right underneath it, unscrew the two big plastic nuts, you can usually do it by hand, and then carefully lower that curved piece. I bet you, 9 times out of 10, the entire clog is sitting right there. Just scoop it out and screw it all back together. Now, if that P-trap was clean, our next move is the good old plunger. But there's a trick to it. The key is to create a really powerful vacuum seal. You need a few inches of water in the sink to make that happen. And here's a pro tip. If your sink has that little overflow hole near the top, stuff a wet rag in it. That forces all the pressure down toward the clog. Give it some really good strong plunges for about 20 seconds and see what happens. You might need to give it a few tries. Okay, so the P-trap was empty, the plunger did nothing, and that clog is just laughing at you. It's time to stop messing around. We're escalating. It's time to bring in the heavy artillery. Now, before we try this next method, let's just geek out for a second on why it works. This isn't some old wives' tale. It's just simple chemistry. You've got baking soda, which is a base, and vinegar, which is an acid. When they mix, they create this big fizzy reaction. That's carbon dioxide gas, and as it expands, it creates pressure and literally scrubs the inside of your pipes, breaking up all that greasy, soapy gunk without any harsh chemicals. Pretty cool, huh? And doing it is super simple. Just dump about a half a cup of baking soda right down the drain. Then pour a cup of white vinegar in right after it. You'll hear it start fizzing and bubbling right away. That means it's working. Now, just walk away. Let it do its thing for about 15 minutes. Then, come back and flush it all down with a kettle of really hot water to wash away everything it loosened up. So, if the science experiment didn't work, that probably means your clog isn't just greasy buildup. It's a solid physical blockage. And for that, we need to bring out the biggest weapon in our DIY toolkit, the drain snake. It's also called an auger. Using a drain snake is all about feel, not force. You're going to feed the long, flexible cable down into the drain pipe. You might need to take the P-trap off again to get better access. Just gently push it forward until you feel it stop. That's it. That's the clog. Now you just start turning the handle, and the little corkscrew end will either break the clog apart or, even better, grab onto it so you can pull the whole disgusting thing right back out. Okay, I see it. Victory is close. The water is actually flowing. But wait, don't celebrate just yet. We're not totally done. This last part is all about making sure the job is actually finished, and this is just as important, knowing when it's time to admit defeat and call for reinforcements. To really confirm that you've won, you have to do one final test. Once you think the clog is gone, carefully pour a whole kettle of boiling water down the drain. This will melt and flush out any last little bits of grease. After that, turn on the cold water and let it run for a full minute. If it flows down steady and fast with no gurgling or backups, congratulations, you have officially won the battle. But what if it's still draining slow, or not at all? If you have tried everything we've talked about, the P-Trop, the plunger, the vinegar, the snake, and that water is still backing up, this is the most important advice I can give you. Stop. Just stop what you're doing. Seriously, there is zero shame in making a tactical retreat. If the water is still backing up after all that, it means the clog is probably way down deep in your plumbing, maybe even in the main sewer line for your house. At this point, you could actually make things worse. This is the clear signal that it's time to pick up the phone and call a licensed plumber. They have the serious equipment to take care of it safely. And there you go, your complete battle plan for a clogged sink. But, the best fight is the one you never have to have in the first place. So now that your drain is finally clear and running free, just take a second to think about it. What's one tiny little habit you could change? Like maybe scraping your plates a little better, or never ever pouring grease down the sink, that could stop the next clog from ever even forming. Thanks for tuning in.